Welcome to Shadows of History, where the past is examined through power, struggle, and consequence. At the edge of the 20th century, Petrograd carried the weight of a restless empire. Factories darkened the skyline, workers filled the streets, and beneath daily hardship, a revolutionary movement was growing in secret. At the Putilov Works, thousands passed through the gates with hunger, anger, and questions about the system that ruled their lives. In hidden rooms, small circles gathered around papers, arguments, and forbidden ideas. Before Lenin became the leader of a revolution, he was Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, born in 1870 into a well-educated middle-class family. His life changed in 1887 when his older brother, Alexander, was executed for involvement in a plot against Tsar Alexander III. For Lenin, this became a political awakening. After being expelled from university for political activity, Lenin studied law, economics, and Marxist theory. But he did not simply repeat Marx. He adapted Marxism to Russia and developed the idea of a disciplined vanguard party, committed revolutionaries who would guide workers and peasants toward power. At the writing table, revolution became language. For Lenin and his comrades, words were weapons. Typesetters turned secret thought into printed form. Leaflets were checked, folded, hidden, and prepared for dispatch. A single mistake could mean prison or exile. Then the message moved into the night. Couriers crossed dark streets, passing papers from hand to hand. Inside the factory, the leaflets reached workers who understood hardship as daily life. One man read, another listened, and soon a printed page became a conversation. The conversation spread into cell meetings, then larger assemblies. At Putilov, the strike began to build. When workers stopped, the empire felt it. Petrograd ignited, and the streets became a stage for protest, fear, and possibility. The regime answered with surveillance and interrogation. Lenin himself faced prison and Siberian exile. But exile did not silence him. He continued to write, study, and refine his revolutionary plans. Later, in Geneva, exile became another battlefield. In the Iskra editorial office, articles and arguments crossed borders, connecting scattered revolutionaries to a common cause. In Paris and Geneva, Lenin fought not only against the Tsar, but also against rival socialists who rejected his methods. He wanted discipline, direction, and a party prepared to seize power. Then came the First World War. Russia weakened under military defeat, hunger, and collapse. In 1917, a sealed train carried Lenin back across wartime Europe toward Petrograd. When Lenin arrived at Petrograd Station, he returned not as a distant writer, but as a revolutionary leader. The monarchy had fallen, but the provisional government continued the war and failed to solve the land crisis. With the April Theses, Lenin gave the movement a clear demand: no support for the provisional government, peace, land, bread, and all power to the Soviets. In factories, railway stations, and meeting rooms, Bolshevik influence grew. As October approached, the Red Guards moved through the night. The revolution was no longer only speeches and leaflets. It became a planned seizure of power. The provisional government fell, and Lenin crossed from theory into government. In the Revolutionary Command Center, the Bolsheviks faced a harder task: holding power in a broken country. Decrees were drafted quickly. Russia withdrew from the First World War. Private land ownership was abolished. Labor laws, education, culture, and women's rights were reshaped in the name of a new socialist order. In the Kremlin, revolution became administration. But the dream of liberation existed beside censorship, coercion, civil war, and the growing power of the Chaikov. The secret police used to pursue enemies, suppress opposition, and secure Bolshevik rule. The country also suffered extreme famine, caused by war, economic collapse, severe weather, and harsh wartime policies. By 1921, Lenin introduced the new economic policy, allowing limited private trade and small-scale capitalism to stabilize the country. In his final years at Gorky, Lenin's health declined after a series of strokes. His body weakened, but the system he had created continued to expand. He became increasingly worried about the future of the party and the rising power of Joseph Stalin. On January 21, 1924, Vladimir Lenin died. His body was preserved for public display, and Soviet leadership became a battlefield for power. From that struggle, Stalin eventually rose above his rivals. Lenin was gone, but his image remained. To some, he was a revolutionary modernizer who destroyed an old empire. To others, he was a ruthless founder of repression and one-party rule. This was Vladimir Lenin, the man who turned revolution into government and changed the modern world. This is Shadows of History. Thank you for watching.